This video will contain no spoilers for Silksong, not even trailer footage. I strongly urge you to keep spoilers out of the comment section. Thank you. Well, it looks like we're getting close, folks. I haven't been with Hollow Knight since the start, but I've been part of the journey long enough to know the value of tempering one's expectations. Regardless of what this new announcement is, one fact is starting to become more apparent every single day. We're soon going to be drowning in Silksong spoilers, and I think that might be a bigger problem than most people realize. Here's why. So I know I'm gonna sound like a huge nerd when I say this, but Silksong isn't just another random indie game that may or may not actually live up to its expectations. We already know what Team Cherry is capable of. Before Hollow Knight came out, we couldn't know, but now we do. We know that this is a group of exceptionally skilled designers who, perhaps most importantly, care about the things they produce. Not just Hollow Knight and Silksong, but even the updates they post to the community. They've clearly been careful not to show too much or too early. There's an air of professionalism that surrounds them. In short, there are great reasons to expect that Silksong will be on par with Hollow Knight, which, if you haven't played it, is an absolutely terrific game. So why does that matter? Well, it matters because if there's one complaint I hear over and over again, it's that people are sad they didn't get to experience Hollow Knight as it was intended. They had their experience spoiled. Perhaps they only found out about the game by watching someone play online. In fact, I think many people stumbled across Hollow Knight this way. And then at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, they decided, you know what, this looks so cool, let me just actually go play the game for myself. And that was the best decision they made all year. But in some regard, it's already too late then. They've had some or even most of the game spoiled. And that's a damn shame because, as most people who love Hollow Knight will tell you, playing it for the first time is an unmatched experience. Now here's the wonderful thing. If you, like so many others, had some of Hollow Knight spoiled, played the game, loved it, and wish you could have replayed it completely fresh, you have that option with Silksong. Simply because you know about the franchise by having played the first game, but without having the second one spoiled yet. You think about that for a second. Man, for those of us who love Hollow Knight, but didn't get to experience it completely raw, that is the opportunity to get that experience with Silksong. Heck, who knows, it might be the only opportunity we'll ever get, given the lack of guarantee that there'll ever be a third entry in the series. Silksong could give millions of players that fresh, pure, first-time experience. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to grant that opportunity to every damn person who has ever enjoyed a video game before. Well, I do know. We'll get to that. So here's the problem. For you to be able to get that completely fresh experience, you need to avoid getting spoiled before you have the chance to play the game. Now, spoilers are generally a huge point of contention for people, and no one can seem to agree on whether a spoiler is okay or not, and in what circumstances. Some people think that spoiling media that's at least a few years old is totally fine. Just go consume the media if you don't want to get spoiled. I can understand this argument because, in all fairness, it's hard to never spoil anything about anything for all time. Others believe that spoilers are no problem so long as you either give people a spoiler warning first or make it very obvious that you're going to be in spoiler-ridden territory. For example, by watching a top 10 bosses list about a game, you shouldn't expect not to get spoiled. That would be a little silly. I agree with both of these arguments. But then we have the group of people that I just do not relate to at all, and it's the people who seem to think that spoilers are perfectly fine in all cases. There are a few common arguments for this position, all of which I find wholly unconvincing. 1. I don't consider X thing a spoiler, which means no one else does. 2. I don't care about having something spoiled for me, so no one else should. 3. If people want to spoil something, they should be allowed to. You can't stop them. Listen, this is really important. I don't want to stop anyone from posting spoilers. I'm not big on the whole censorship thing, and I believe people should have the right to spoil a game as much as they want. but I can still think they're being exceptionally inconsiderate for doing so. What I just laid out there was the generic spoiler issue, which applies to all media, old and new. Now, here's what makes the Silksong spoiler issue even worse. If you want to avoid spoilers, you can't just go play the damn game, because if you haven't noticed, it's not out yet. And as we've seen already, things will start and have started to come out about Silksong long before people can get their hands on the game. And the more time that passes before the game comes out, the more chances people will have to get spoiled. I'm telling you, we're in the early stages of Silksong spoilers, and it's only gonna get worse from here. So I think almost all of us will have some degree of dislike for spoilers. You can think about your favorite movie, TV show, or video game and ask yourself honestly whether someone could have ruined the experience of consuming that media for the first time by spoiling any part of it. If you're being honest with yourself, I would be hard pressed to find that anyone couldn't see themselves at least getting slightly annoyed at or saddened by this experience. For the rest of you, I'll see you in the comments, but for those of you who can relate to that, you might be thinking something akin to, yeah, it sucks to have a good piece of media spoiled, so why would anyone do that? Well, you're likely not thinking that actually, because you already know the answer. It brings in views. See, because another thing I've heard from people who would have liked to enjoy the raw Hollow Knight experience is that they just can't help themselves when something new comes out about Silksong. They have to watch any tiny piece of news there is to dissect about the game, 0.2 seconds of trailer footage or whatever. Even if, in a world where they had more impulse control, they might have decided not to do that. Now, some YouTubers capitalize on this spoiler excitement, and you probably know at least one or two. Why? But because it's free views. Silksong views are some of the easiest to get. People are starving for anything new about the game, even just having someone talk about it. And that's fine. It's cheap in my opinion, but you do whatever the heck you want, man. It's your conscience. Well, it's fine until it isn't. Perhaps the biggest challenge to solving spoilers is that no one generally agrees on what constitutes a spoiler. So even if we could all get together and agree on the fact that spoiling a game before it comes out should at least require a spoiler warning, what exactly do we mean by spoiling? I have a pretty encompassing view of what constitutes a spoiler. I don't want to watch the trailer, hear about the new mechanics, or see any of the sprite leaks. I want to know as little as possible going in. Some people don't care as much, or at all, and that's fine. We don't have to agree. But can we at least agree on this? Spoiling someone about a game that isn't even out yet without their permission is not okay. Can we agree on that? So if it weren't obvious yet, I'm mostly talking about YouTube thumbnails. You can't not see a spoiler unless you know where not to look. And if you're just, using YouTube and something pops up out of nowhere, there's no avoiding it. Now, people will say that you can tell YouTube to stop suggesting you content from a specific creator, which is true, but first of all, there are so many people who just do not care about spoilers if it gets them views, and so this would be an endless task. And second of all, that doesn't fix the damn issue. It's too late. You've already seen the spoiler. Listen, I want to make this clear. I'm not telling anyone what to do. You make as many videos on Silksong as you want. I don't care. But could you just consider keeping spoilers out of your thumbnails as not to ruin the experience for so many of us? We're all looking forward to playing this wonderful game. Do you really need to ruin that for a few extra views?